is Craster Bloodraven's son. One of the most interesting characters in A Song of Ice and Fire is the wildling Craster. He lives in the haunted forest and sacrifices his sons to the others. The timeline works almost too well. Bloodraven was sent to the Wall in 233 AC and remained there for nearly 20 years until his disappearance in 252. Plenty of time to meet a woman in Whitetree, a village not too far from the Wall. Craster himself is described as an old man with gray hair turning white, and that does fit right into the age window. If this is true, it means that Craster carries the blood of a very powerful skin changer, Bloodraven himself, who was not only of the first men, but through his Blackwood mother also had Valyrian Targaryen blood. And that might explain why the others are so interested in Craster's sons. His daughters repeatedly call them their brothers, strongly implying that the others don't reproduce, they convert. Each boy would be taken and transformed into one of their own, and if the others' control over the whites is not just simple necromancy, but something more akin to skin changing, then Craster's bloodline would be incredibly valuable to them. They wouldn't just be increasing their numbers, they'd be enhancing their magical strength. Even when you look at Craster's own words, it gets more chilling. Let them rise. My roots are sunk deep. Okay. Cool. So I posted a couple of TikToks and I've been exploring more of this, the Cold Hands and Bloodraven. So I'm going to hit you with two here. So we talked about this like a year ago about the idea of Mance Rayder and Craster being brothers.
Oh yeah,
because they are both the same type of parents. It's their father is an unknown member of the Night's Watch and their mother is a wildling. So that's all we know is they both have the same type of parent set. So I was like, oh, it could be interesting if they were brothers. Well, then I was starting to think about Craster a little bit more, and Craster's a little bit older than Mance, it seems, in the books. I mean, obviously the show, I think, ages Mance a little bit more, but the books, Mance seems like he might be a little bit younger. But Craster is still, to me, God, just such an interesting, unique character because he is offering his children to the others. In there, if you go back and you read some of the Craster chapters, when he talks about why he does it, he says things like, well, like, I'm right with the gods. You best get right with the gods too. He also talks about, he's like, I'm not worried because my roots are sunk deep. And so like, thinking about roots and trees and the weirwood. And why is he saying that? And if Craster, hold on, hear me out. If Craster is Bloodraven's son, because well, just I mean, some Night's Watch member is Craster's dad, and his mother is a wildling, and the timing works out because he is older, and it would work timeline wise. If that is the case, Craster in theory would have blood of ice and fire because he is Targaryen through Bloodraven, who, by the way, is also like of ice and fire because his mom is a Blackwood, but Craster would be as well. Somehow Craster began giving his boy children up to the others. He continues to do it and knows what happens. Somehow that started. We've talked a lot about the three-eyed crow, three-eyed raven being evil. I also posted another one talking about the idea that Cold Hands himself being the three-eyed crow. Is that the three-eyed crow we know uses people as entities, most likely not Benjen in the books because of the editor's note and all of the things, and George has pretty much come out and said it.
Right. There's some weird sorcery going on there possibly, right, Matt?
Yeah. I mean, something like, it's not like you just suddenly wake up and you're like, you know what? Let me just see if the others will just take this as a sacrifice.
So I'm going to go a little different direction here.
Okay.
So someone that was up there doing some weird stuff and had a corpse queen was the Night's King. And who was the person who finally brought him down after 13 years? It was none other than the king beyond the wall, Joramun.
Yeah.
So could it be that Mance Rayder is a descendant of Joramun?
That could work too.
Craster could be a descendant of the Night's King.
That could be the
case. It would be, you know, George loves repeating
because they hate each other.
That's what I'm saying. So
well, Craster really hates Mance more. It seems
no, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Mance represents Joramun. Craster could be the Night's King, right?
I don't know that I don't know that Mance Rayder ever says anything about Craster, to be entirely honest.
Well, he doesn't, but I guess what I'm just saying is,
it's like a one-off line, yeah.
And
I'm with you. I'm just saying in general, just for clarification.
I'm only going with this because I think George loves mirroring, and he also loves repeating history. And it's just interesting that a dude up at the wall who's doing weird, just happens to hate the king beyond the wall would be Mance Rayder. Like, I don't actually think this is the case, but it's kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a big deal because they do the baby swap, right? And I mean,
Oh my
I think that
God,
still
Matt.
has it. Oh, Jamie just clicked onto something, but I think that is a big. Go ahead and say it because now your mouth is like wide open.
After the Night's King fall, it was discovered the Night's King had been making sacrifices to the others.
Yeah,
So
I know, man.
just like Craster.
Craster. Yeah, I know, dude.
Oh,
That's what
I'm
I'm
right.
saying.
Never mind. I'm right. He's a descendant. Oh my God.
So what if the Night's King was a green seer who was the
Wow.
three-eyed crow was trying to use to help bring down the wall?
Well, his name is Brandon Stark. So we all have to wonder is it Bran?
Exactly.
Holy shit. This series is so sick.
Because
I
that could
love this series so
right,
much.
because the three-eyed crow, like being Bran or whatever, like Bran may become the three-eyed crow, and I think that is still going to happen. But I think I am still leaning more towards the idea of like the three-eyed crow being the true dark entity,
Okay.
because part of Bran's story is him struggling with warging into summer, right?
Yeah.
And oh, you can't give yourself over to the beast. Like you can't do like you still need
Mhm.
to remain yourself, which is a little
Yeah.
interesting because that could just be that Jojen, who actually, if you look at it, is not really doing things in Bran's best interest. Sometimes it seems because
Yeah.
he's I mean,
We wonder
right
about
because
him.
Jojen might be super influenced, but it could be that it's actually the three-eyed crow, like through Jojen, saying, "Oh no, you don't want to go the full. You don't want to go into your wolf. That's not the way you want to go." Whereas we know keeping your
Yeah.
wolves close is the way
Good thing.
to go,
Yeah.
is the power that you want to have. So I think it's likely that Bran will actually struggle and have some sort of internal battle with the three-eyed crow, because if he gives too far into it, then maybe that's what happens. Then you could go into like this super cute like timeline
Yeah. There's a lot of
thing, and
stuff that
there's all
happens
this
there.
stuff. I mean, but we already know that a lot of that stuff has probably happened anyway, because we already know that we are inside a timeline in which Bran has been influencing through the past.
Yeah, there's definitely hints that Bran's been influencing things, even
Just,
out.
I mean, Hodor. If simply nothing else but Hodor happens,
It's
then
huge.
and the Ned Stark, like we saw in the show, just turning around because he thought Bran was there. I mean, that
Well,
one butterfly effect moment is still Bran influencing the past in some regard.
Ghost of Winterfell that's speaking to Theon and guiding
Yeah.
him, who I think is going to play a pretty big role in the coming books if we get them. But the other thing is just like George is a really big fan of Dune. He talked about Dune a lot, and Paul Atreides is kind of the
Yeah.
chosen one, but has terrible repercussions from having these powers. And I think Bran is very much like the Paul Atreides of
Oh, for sure.
Ice and Fire. So you have to wonder, is maybe just the three-eyed crow in general, or is it more of a kind of a parallel to power and how power corrupts? And
Yeah.
Bran becoming king is something that George did tell D&D. It's one of the few points he actually gave them, and I think a lot of the story is going to be wrapped up in Bran and what he means to like this entire world and timeline. In fact, so
Right. Because it might be
so many places you can go with it.
right. Because what's to say that the three-eyed crow isn't potentially like the alternative to the three heads of the dragon? Right? Like it will be this, like he is trying to use
Yeah,
multiple aspects, and one of them might be Bran, and one of them he for a time was Bloodraven, but he's clearly kind of phasing Bloodraven out. He's clearly like phasing Jojen out of over his influence. Cold Hands could be another one that he's phasing out of his influence, and it could now be Euron is the one he's looking at. We don't know necessarily if there's going to be another one, but it might be like a three, like aspects of this versus aspects of say R'hllor and the dragons.
so if you have Bran and Euron, which the whole idea is that Euron kind of like wasn't useful, like the three-eyed Raven kind of like went away from him or whatever. But like, let's
Right.
just say like Bran, Euron. Could the third be Theon? Because Theon's getting whispered to.
I think Theon's just getting whispered to because he's batshit
Well,
crazy.
A lot of people think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Theon.
I don't know that it's specifically anything like that. And Theon is still Scott. He's such a huge wild card to me because I mean his route could go like the same as it does in the show,
Yeah, I
which
could see
is
that.
by far the best character arc
Yes.
of Dan and Dave. That is like
so good.
no question that Theon is
And Jorah.
Yeah, kind of. Jorah's goes pretty much as I expect it to.
Yeah, but Theon's was truly
Brienne's is the best. No question.
I bawled like a baby, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like his end is so sick. Like,
yeah, and there's people who be like, all that just for Bran to, you know, do nothing, but like whatever. Like, regardless of that, the Theon contained arc, in my opinion, is great.
Right.
So, I think in the books it'll be very similar.
Yeah, I do too. So, yeah. Anyway, that's just some of the theorizing I've been doing lately, and I've been posting all these YouTube shorts and everything. And yeah, dude, it's crazy, man. Like when you really, because you have to like, because I think sometimes we just theorize about stuff. Like, yeah, you know, but like when you really try to have to, like, I've been trying lately to make the puzzle pieces fit and make the puzzle pieces like work. And you have to look at how all of this stuff could fit in 2 books, which it seems like the most unlikely thing, which is like, because that's where George's head is, right? He's got to flesh out these character arcs. He's got to do these things, and he's got to make all of these pieces connect. And there's only so much time to do it. Now, he doesn't necessarily have to go into full detail and be like, right, like, which is like Shay and like Craster. Even we may never get anything else about Craster except maybe a hint here or there, but that's where you can like kind of draw the pieces yourself and see what
this is his mastery at work, in my opinion.
I do think we actually will get some more of Craster just because of his baby. It's his and Gilly's baby, and that, like, that baby in the show ended up being completely useless. Everybody thought for a long time that's what the Night King was going to be after.
I remember that.
That was like all preseason 8 runs. Like, no, the Night King wants that baby because that baby could be special. I mean, people talk about time jumps and all of these things, and maybe George was planning on something to do with that baby. But in the books, the babies are switched, and you know, they have Mance's baby, and Craster's baby is actually still up at Winterfell.
There's a sick part of me is like, what if that's like Bran reborn again? Like, what if like it's that crazy? But I think that's like part of George's mastery, though, is the fact that these answers like aren't going to be spelled out, like no matter what it is. I don't think it'll be spelled out on the nose very often. I think a lot of it's going to be trusting the reader to piece things together and speculate. Like it's much better for him to give us some interpretations. Yeah, like partial answers, and then let us do what we're doing right now. This is why the series is going to live on forever, regardless of a finish or not.
Oh, 100%. Just because everyone wants to know what will happen, and and everything. And I feel actually way more confident now that it's that we're going to get enough, even if it's just through, even if he never finishes wins in A Dream of Spring. The fact is that we know as long as he's living, he is going to be fleshing out more of the early stuff, all the pre-actual series stuff. And I mean, just like look at how big of a change it has caused the entire fandom over the dagger. That one thing is so monumental. Like, because it changes everything. And it's like, wait, you're telling me that Targaryens actually were passing down the history of A Song of Ice and Fire. Like, that is actually the true story. And it makes Aegon way cooler. And when we get the Aegon's Conquest show, that's what he's going to be looking at. And that's what he's going to be like theorizing about in some of his last days, is like, oh my, no, actually the true battle is going to be the North. It's one of the reasons I am really looking forward to House of the Dragon season 3, to see what they do with Daemon and Alice Rivers, who is such a big, important character. Because we don't know what happens to her. She's in Fire and Blood, and where she leaves is wide open. And I think they might explore some of that a bit more. And is she an agent of the Three-Eyed Crow? She could be leading Daemon. She's clearly giving him fever dreams and perhaps feeding him weirwood paste. She's making these like concoctions and potions that he's drinking, and he's sleeping in a weirwood bed, and he saw visions of Daenerys and Bloodraven. I mean, so we saw a Green Man. It's awesome.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were upset with Daemon's arc, but like the things that have
it was a little long.
It was a long. It's fine. Yeah, there's problems with the show for sure, but like on the whole, the things that we get to speculate about, especially just in show canon only, So fun.
Now House of the Dragon unfortunately takes a step back a little bit because like we know George was somewhat more involved in the first two seasons, and now we know he's not involved in seasons 3 or
it's not
4.
gonna be fun covering this show in season 3. It's gonna be painful.
Right. Whereas Dunk and Egg, the fact that he is more involved, and it's where I go back to those Game of Thrones episodes that he directed, and you have to look at that information. So
yeah, definitely.